I'm going to read something out that Scotty Pritchard sent through. And he says, Duane's greatest achievement in his life is his response to Tanya's passing and how he's given those kids the best opportunity to be remarkable. And all three are remarkable people, incredibly good humans. Taylor, a carbon copy of her mum in terms of the way she engages with people. She's been a solidifying force as the oldest, doing amazing things with the tall ferns. What he's done really well is to not try and be mum. He's always been honest and said, I am who I am and I'll give you everything I've got, but I'm not your mum. I can't replace her and I won't. But he's been the best father that he can be. He's always been open to feedback and sought advice. The old Duane would have tried to figure things out for himself. So he's saying, and everyone I've spoken to, despite all this other success you've had, is the job you've done raising these kids. And I was hoping you could talk a little bit about them because they're all, it seems, on the cusp of sporting success themselves. Well, they're already at a very high level. So when you think about the trajectory they're on and you think about how you picked up the pieces after Tanya passed, does that fill you with pride? Do you feel like you've done a good job?
Immensely. Yeah. Proud of all the kids. They're all bringing their own little personality and traits through. And funnily enough, all three of them are quite different. In fact, I just recently had a milestone birthday and, they all got the chance to speak. None of them used any notes, which again is something I try and encourage because I want them to talk from the heart. But again, gave these hilarious speeches, and Maddie came through and just knocked it out of the park, and he talked about
maybe we should have bloody gone to Maddie. Damn it.
He spoke about the pancake rule, and the first pancake's a little bit rough and gets a bit burnt, and the second one might be a bit fattened, but that third pancake is just the best. And, so he's got a fierce sense of humour. He has a phenomenal read of sport. I probably shouldn't be saying this, but he's my go-to on TAB bets. And, at 15,
Rain Man.
he is almost Rain Man-ish. He's phenomenal. Taylor, Tanya and I used to always joke that she was sort of gifted to us to take care of us. From day dot, she's always been a super serious, onto it kid. And she's doing phenomenally well. I had the pleasure of watching her play for the Tall Ferns over in Aussie, where they just made it through to Olympic qualifiers. First time in a long while. They played out of their skin. Great group of young women, and to see her sort of flourish in that environment, made my heart burst with pride. And there were a couple of moments on the sideline where the tears or memories sort of slipped down my cheeks, knowing how chuffed he would have been to have seen that. She's still got so much left in her. She's doing really well over at university. And in fact, she got in an economics exam, she got 100%.
No.
And she got the coolest email from her lecturer, who'd sort of been saying he's been waiting his whole life for a student in this particular subject to gift him that. So she's been blessed with a great brain, very people orientated. But again, I need to praise sort of a lot of T's network who, when she passed away, a lot of them stepped in and they were reaching out. Jenny and Jackie, who jumped on a plane and went and visited her over in St Mary's and got to hang out with her. Anna Stanley, who turned up to her sports prize giving to be there to see her get her awarded. Bernie for constantly checking in. A lot of these people go above and beyond just to check in on her. Bernadine, Oliver Kirby. So that's where I do feel truly blessed. And it's all those additional people that subtly are rubbing off amazing values that have made my cause a lot easier, and at times made me look probably better than what I am, to be perfectly honest. And then Charlie's coming through, and he's just come on in leaps and bounds in the last couple of years, and is just sort of moving from a sort of teenage brain into a young man who's got ambition. He's having a great season with the Tuatara, but again, I have to pay massive compliments back to guys within the Tuatara environment. Aaron for giving him a chance to start against a current Tall Black, but guys like Rob Lowe, the Cam Glidens, those guys in there have really held Charlie to account. And even though he's younger, and even though he's been through some hardships, they don't give him any grace, any room to move. and he's responded to it, and so it's not coming from me, it's coming, the same message that I probably want to say is coming from external sources, and it's a hell of a lot more powerful when it comes from, those sorts of guys that he has absolute respect for.
One of the consistent themes that both Taylor and Charlie said was that after a couple of beers, Dad will often reach into his book of wisdom and drop some knowledge on us. I can see in front of me you're nearly at the end of your second beer. It's an opportunity now for you to bless us with a few of those life lessons. So can you reach into that book of wisdom and maybe share a couple of your favourites with us?
No, I don't know if there's any that are sort of pop to the top of the mind, but I am guilty of sort of leaning on the kids at times. And again, it comes from a good place, and I just want to, for them to be the best versions of themselves and to blaze their own trail and to run their own identity, not just Tanya's children, but Taylor Dalton and Charlie Dalton, and to light their names up. And if it's not in sport, I honestly don't care, but as long as it's something that they're passionate about and something that gets them out of bed in the morning and wants to chase being awesome. Mediocre's not really something that I want them to aspire towards. Just think they could be better than that. They've been blessed with some great opportunities, so I want them to maximise it.
Well, thankfully for us, they dropped some of those knowledge bombs for us to read out on their behalf. So, Steve, do you want to do Charlie's little piece?
Charlie has said, running Pit has turned him into a smart guy. I'm not sure he always was, but now he's pretty wise. After a couple of beers, he'll bring out a couple of life lessons, and they're always pretty valuable. One of the key ones I like to use is to always thank the people around you. The friends that you choose shape you. That's what he's driven into us. Choose the right people to hang around because they'll shape you into who you are today. I think he's done that really well, which has helped him to get where he is today. So, I think that's a life lesson worth talking about. And we've mentioned a bunch of names, super successful people that you've kind of grown up with. They were the ones there for you in your darkest hour when you needed them the most. Surrounding yourself with good people, how important is that?
I'm a firm believer in that it's a non-negotiable. It's absolutely critical. And, I speak about energy givers and energy takers. I'm a real believer in that. And again, I think I mentioned earlier, none of these people were gifted amazing lives and it sort of fell in their lap. All of them have gone and chased it and worked for it. And as a result of that, when T was here, the kids got to, hang around a lot of good people who, again, passed on probably similar wisdom, but in a different way, in a different light. And, there was just something we wanted for our kids and our family, and it makes our life a hell of a lot better too, and all of them have a little sparkle in their eye and, enjoy a bit of fun, but in the right environment and at the right time.
I'm not really sure how to ask this, so we can edit this out if need be, but I've talked to a few people who have told me that you've got a new partner now, yep. And she's filled, I'm not sure if the right phrasing is to fill the gap that Tanya left, but they say she is the perfect fit for you after what happened to Tanya. And I wondered if it's okay to talk about, because you're not going to know how to deal with that situation unless you've been it yourself. You're married to someone, you're in love, you've got kids, and they tragically go, and then you take some time, and then you find a new partner, and then you move on with your life. And I just wondered what that's like, how you move on, how and what space she fills in your life now.
I don't think you move on, you move forward, and I think that's really important. Anna is a phenomenal lady. Again, met her at a dinner with some friends. I say lightning struck me twice in terms of beautiful humans. She has 3 amazing young kids. She is very accepting of the role and the personality that Tanya was. And even through her own company, she's come on board as a scholarship partner. She puts tables together of her friends to come along, and bid heavily on auction items. In fact, one of them bought a surfboard for $10,000. She is outstanding with my kids, with my family. She motivated. She chases life. Huey, who sort of put this forward, sort of said to me one day, he said, do you know, he goes, I've worked you out. You've cracked it. You've cracked the code. And I'm like, oh, what do you mean? He goes, well, you always chase a relationship where 1 + 1 = 3. And he said, you know, you're always looking to make each other better. You don't run people down. And he said, and now, you know, to his credit, he's met a person where 1 + 1 = 3, and matches met kindling, and it's awesome to see. So yeah, very lucky, very blessed.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that.
Taylor's life lesson that she took away was that dads always wanted to prepare us for the world, not protect us from the world. And your comments just then, I guess, speak to that as well. Stuff happens. Stuff happens to people all over the place. The varying degrees of how that affects you, I guess, is different. But it seems to me you've equipped your kids with just an amazing toolkit in terms of dealing with life and what life can throw at you. I don't know what my question is, if there is one. It's more a kind of observation. But was it the adversity that you went through that galvanized that, or did you always have that kind of view of the world prior to Tanya's passing?
Yeah, no, I've always sort of seen my role, or T and I always saw our role, and it was a collective decision that we were here to prepare our kids for the world, not to protect them. And sometimes you have to let them fall to make them great. Sometimes you have to let them work it out in their own head and be there to answer questions if they slightly go off track. You know, adversity, as much as none of us like it, is a reality that we're all going to have at some point in our life. And so to work out the mechanisms that work best for you and the best situations, how you get through it. And again, I liken that back to if they get the right circle of friends around them, when they do stumble, hopefully they only just stub their toe rather than break their leg.
The other observation they had is that you seem to strike a perfect balance between hard work and an amazing social life at the same time. And it's come through in this. You are the life of the party. You are a guy that seems to squeeze every opportunity out of life as well. How important is that work-life balance in terms of your own makeup?
Critical, right? You know, we only get one shot at this. You know, this isn't a pre-rehearsal for something greater and more amazing. And yeah, sometimes you got to roll your sleeves up and get on with it and suck it up and do jobs that you absolutely despise or hate, or, you know, go through situations we did where you can't see any upside whatsoever. But then you come out the other side and you realise, actually, shit, I learned a hell of a lot through that process, and I'm actually a significantly better person as a result of it. You know, in terms of having the fun and the balance, yeah, if the fun stops you being able to do the more mundane and realistic stuff that sort of keeps us functioning, then that becomes a problem. But yeah, you know, I was fortunate enough that I've just been away on a surfing trip with some buddies to the Tellos, you know, and you get up there and you have a real chance to reflect on what you're doing, get motivated again. I thought I'd be reading a lot more books, you know, but sometimes just sitting out on the deck, contemplating next moves and next steps is hugely powerful as well. And something I try and pass on to the kids is to take that time out to stop and think about, rather than just being on the treadmill, where do you want it to get you?